When you hear the name Sean Diddy Combs, what comes to mind? The flashy suits, the platinum records, the chart-topping hits, the luxury lifestyle. For decades, Diddy has been a kingpin in the music world, a man who rose from the streets of Harlem to build a multi-million-dollar empire. He wasn't just a rapper or producer. He was a cultural icon, a mogul who influenced fashion, business, and music all at once. But behind the red carpets and sold-out concerts, a very different story was unfolding, one that would crack open his image and expose a dark side no one expected. In May 2025, Diddy found himself not in a recording studio, but in a federal courtroom in Manhattan. And the charges he faced were outrageous: sex trafficking, racketeering, transporting women for prostitution. The news shocked the world. How could a man who seemed to have it all be accused of such crimes? How could the king of hip-hop become a defendant accused of abusing his power in the worst way imaginable? At the heart of this case was Cassie Ventura, a woman many knew as an R&B singer and Diddy's longtime girlfriend. Their relationship had been on and off for over 10 years, a mix of passionate love and, as would later emerge, painful abuse. When Cassie stepped up to testify, the atmosphere in the courtroom changed. You could feel the weight of what she was about to say. It wasn't just another celebrity trial. It was a woman finally telling her story, after years of silence and fear. Cassie described a relationship that, on the outside, seemed glamorous and perfect. But behind closed doors, it was anything but. She recounted moments of violence, fists, bruises, threats, and times when she felt like she wasn't herself anymore. She spoke of the infamous freak-offs, wild, drug-fueled parties thrown by Diddy, where women were pressured into acts they didn't want to do. "I was scared," she said, her voice trembling at times. "Scared of what he could do if I said no." What made it worse was the blackmail. Cassie told the jury that videos and photos taken at these parties were used to keep her quiet, to trap her in a nightmare she couldn't escape. One of the hardest moments for everyone in the courtroom came when she showed pictures of injuries, deep bruises and wounds from an attack before a major music festival in 2013. Some jurors gasped, others looked away. It was a brutal reminder that behind the glitz was pain. And it didn't end there. Cassie revealed a terrifying moment after they broke up, an incident in 2018 when she said Diddy raped her. To relive that in front of the world took immense courage. The prosecution wasn't just relying on Cassie's emotional testimony. No, they came to court ready to hit hard, armed with pieces of evidence that made the case against Diddy feel all the more real, all the more undeniable. Because in a courtroom, words alone can only do so much. But proof? Proof has a way of cutting through the noise and shaking everyone to their core. And that proof came in the form of a 2016 hotel surveillance video. This wasn't some shaky, blurry clip recorded on a phone or a half-hidden camera in the corner. This was clear, high-quality footage, the kind of evidence that leaves little room for doubt. It allegedly showed Diddy physically assaulting Cassie inside a hotel room, a moment of violence frozen on tape. You could almost feel the tension in the air just watching it, as if the walls themselves were whispering the truth. For the jury, seeing this video was a gut punch. It's one thing to hear about abuse, painful, but sometimes invisible. It's another to see it raw and unfiltered. The footage captured the anger, the power imbalance, the fear, all laid bare without a single word needed. It was a kind of evidence that turns speculation into reality, that shifts the scales from doubt toward conviction. But the prosecution didn't stop there. They brought out photographs, taken in 2013, showing the aftermath of one of Cassie's most brutal attacks. These pictures were graphic. Deep purple bruises blossomed across her skin, swelling that distorted her face, fresh cuts that told a silent story of pain and suffering. It was hard to look at, even for those hardened to courtroom battles, but necessary, because behind every injury was a woman who had endured something no one should ever have to. Together, Cassie's words and the visual evidence painted a picture that was impossible to ignore. This wasn't just an argument about personal drama or tabloid gossip. This was a powerful man, whose fame and influence reached millions, using that very power to control, hurt, and exploit women who trusted him. It was a chilling reminder that sometimes, behind the glitter and glam, darkness can thrive. Cassie's story was harrowing, but it wasn't isolated. During her testimony, she also spoke about Diddy allegedly threatening her friends and others who got too close to the truth. One name that came up was rapper Kid Cudi. Cassie said that Diddy tried to intimidate him, sending a clear message that no one should interfere. This wasn't just about one relationship gone bad. It was about a wider network of fear and control. The prosecution described it as racketeering, a criminal enterprise designed to keep victims silent and under Diddy's thumb. On the other side of the courtroom, the atmosphere shifted. Diddy sat composed, but behind that calm was a storm raging, his entire future hanging by a thread. When the judge called for his plea, he looked up and firmly said, "Not guilty." His defense team stepped forward with a sharp, determined strategy. They painted a very different picture, one where everything that had happened was consensual, private, and between adults. According to them, no laws were broken, no lines crossed. The wild parties everyone talked about, they argued those were just adult gatherings, spaces where people chose to be free from coercion or harm. The lawyers insisted that the accusations were exaggerated at best and fabricated at worst, part of a scheme to destroy Diddy's reputation. To them, this case wasn't just a legal battle, it was a fight for survival. Because for Sean Combs, this wasn't only about proving innocence in court, it was about saving everything he had worked so hard for, his legacy, his freedom, and the image he'd built over decades. And then you have to imagine what that pressure felt like. One day, the man is the undisputed king of hip-hop, flashing smiles on magazine covers, commanding stages around the world. The next, he's behind bars at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, confined to a small cell, forced to confront the possibility that everything could come crashing down. Waiting day after day, unsure of what the verdict might bring, with the eyes of millions fixed on him. It was a surreal, high-stakes fight that would test not only the legal system, but the very core of who Sean Diddy Combs was. You might hear about celebrity scandals all the time and think, oh, just another one. But this case is different. It's not just about a famous person in trouble. This trial shines a bright light on serious problems that many people don't see. Things like abuse, trafficking, and using power to hurt others. These things happen a lot, but they usually stay hidden behind closed doors or get covered up by the shiny image celebrities try to show the world. What makes this case important is Cassie's courage. She decided to speak up, even though it was scary and hard. By telling her story, she might help others who have gone through the same pain but stayed quiet. Her bravery reminds us all that no matter how powerful someone is, they cannot escape justice. Everyone has to answer for what they do, no matter who they are. The trial was expected to last about 8 weeks, with more witnesses ready to tell their stories and new evidence waiting to be shown. Every day promised to bring more pieces of the puzzle, revealing things that had been hidden for years. People followed closely, waiting to see what would come next. Would the truth finally be told, or would the powerful slip away once again? No matter what the final verdict would be, everyone knew this case was already making a big impact. It was changing the way people looked at the entertainment world. Sean Diddy Combs' story is one of extremes. At times, it's about soaring success, rising from tough beginnings to become one of the biggest names in music and business. But it's also about facing serious and painful accusations that could change everything he's worked for. Behind all the headlines, behind the flashing cameras and gossip, there are real people with real pain. Cassie's bravery in coming forward reminds us how important truth and justice are. Her voice is a powerful example for anyone who has been hurt and afraid to speak out. Till then, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel to stay informed about the latest crimes you never knew had occurred.